is called console. There's no way I didn't install console. It doesn't install console. We have discovered. Oh my god. There's no way they do not include like console with a meta package. That's just weird. Let me just see terminal. Okay, if I get hello there and welcome to a complete guide to Arch Linux. In this one, we'll understand, install, and conquer our minimalistic setup. So first of all, I would like to welcome you to the Arch Linux journey. But there are difficulties, there will be obstacles in the path. We will go through them all. But before we go through anything, let's go over a few things you need to know to succeed. Prerequisites and preparation. This is something that many people overlook or think that I'll figure it out later. But at the end of the day, you're using a system that you have never used before, or even if you're someone who has maybe dabbled in the a little bit here and there, Arch Linux is one of those distributions that will make you feel like you don't know anything. Like at least it did for me. I'm not accusing you of anything, but first thing, understand what Arch Linux is. So to get into a system itself, you need to understand what you are getting into. In very simple term, Arch Linux is a Linux distribution which is basically a kernel. So it will give you just the bare minimum that you have, and you need to build it up from the ground up. Yes, there is an install script. We will talk about all of those, but it gives you total control. It's minimalistic, so you can set it up however you want. You can set it up as a really simple system where you just browse the web, or you can set it up as a really complicated and highly customized system that is catered towards your needs. But with that control comes responsibility. What responsibility, you may ask? Unlike Windows or Mac OS, yes, they do have their issues, but no matter what anyone says, most of those issues are, I would say, recovered by the system itself. Maybe Windows faces a problem in its system. It's really rare when where you have to just reinstall the whole thing. It usually can be troubleshooted or maybe from their own system. But anyway, like I was saying, it depends on how you have used or your experience with Windows, and I will talk about why this is important because we'll get to that. And in Linux, you install everything yourself, including the desktop environment and many other things that comes with it. Even the system itself is installed by you. Don't be scared. Again, we'll go through everything. Just hold on and be a bit patient because you will need a lot of patience for this. Here is a few more things. Learn the basics first. What do I mean by the basics? Terminal commands. Please learn the terminal commands. When I say please, I mean please. I do not have videos on it on my channels yet. I will very soon. If I do, I will link it in the description. But even from any channel, anything, even just Google it. But learn the basic terminal commands because that will be your very best friend. When you're installing Arch, there will be few commands that you will not understand. It's completely fine. Some things you may not understand, you can search for it. But if you don't know anything about any commands, I will not recommend you go through this process. Just stop watching this video now, or even pause it and put it on a second monitor or something and look up a tutorial for terminals commands. Then we have partitions and file system. Now this is a very overlooked thing because many of us probably, even you watching, who maybe you didn't have much of an exposure to configuring your own partitions, or maybe you didn't have much of an exposure to systems and file system and such. But in the Linux system, you have to get exposed to this. Partitions and systems are the base system itself. Like Windows, it has an NTFS partition. Maybe some of you didn't even know that because it's not something you think about. You just click on install. Windows gives you all the bloatware it has. It tells you it needs to do something. You just say, okay, next, sure, done. And the system is installed. And since, again, in the previous part, like I said, Linux gives you the control that you can configure everything. It can get daunting or really hectic at times because you may not understand what is going on. That's why I'm here. We are going through everything. Then there is the Linux kernel. Now, this is something that I would say you don't need to get too into. You don't need to learn every kernel version, every update that comes out, everything that happens in the Linux community. No, this part just means understand what the Linux kernel is. What is it? What does it do? What does a kernel even do? Those kind of things. Just the basic understanding that a kernel just helps your system communicate with the hardware is a lot more than not knowing that part. So make sure to do a bit of research on your Linux kernel. Then this is, I would say, the most important part. Open source philosophy. What do I mean by this open source philosophy? If you didn't know, Linux is an open source system. That means that there isn't a multi-billion-dollar company that is backing up Linux. Like Microsoft is for Windows. You have Apple for Mac OS. These companies back up their software, but in the Linux community, it's run by the community, it's developed by the community, and it's for the community. So everyone who develops Linux, maybe some of them even does it as a hobby, and some are hardcore developers for the Linux community. And now, what does this entail? Well, since this it's an open source system, that means that Linux itself doesn't make any profit or any type of money from its distribution. That's why you have so many distributions, because no one is paying Linux anything to use their software or use their kernel. So you have a lot of variety. That can be daunting, that can be kind of cool. So however you try to look at it, it's great. But that's the tip of the iceberg. Open source means open source. If you want to use any software that is proprietary, what do I mean by proprietary? I mean, like, let's say you use Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, the Office suite itself. You cannot use it on Linux without any tinkering. Or maybe there are some software that will outright not support Linux. So if you're still at this point of the video and you haven't just blown up your system and formatted everything yet, I would say turn back now, learn a few open source software. For example, for Microsoft, or like the Office suite, learn LibreOffice or even OpenOffice. Those are pretty simple and straightforward enough, but just learning the basics will get you up and running on what you want to do. Let's say you want to edit videos, I would say learn DaVinci Resolve, move out from Adobe software. Adobe does not support Linux. So if you are someone who is highly reliant on Adobe tools, or maybe the system you want to install Linux on is the one you use for your Adobe tools, do not go Linux. Don't do it. Learn open source software. Even for Photoshop, there is a lot of tools out there that are alternatives to the proprietary system. Learn those and then get back to Linux. Now, okay, yeah, you can see it was a really high budget video. I made a slide for you guys. Anyway, it may seem like I'm trying to discourage you, or maybe like tell you not to install a system on your, like tell you not to do what I'm not trying to tell you what you should do or what you shouldn't. What I'm trying to do is at least educate you on not being stupid. Yeah, I'll say it. Like, don't do mistakes that will cost you your entire system. Like, if it's a system that you don't care about, if it's a machine that has been like kicking around in the warehouse for like 20 years or something and you just want to revive it, fine, do experiment, like destroy it as much as you want. But for your main daily driving system, I would say do the previous things that I talked about first, then continue on with this video or any type of Linux related videos. Again, I'll say this again, I'm not trying to demotivate you, I'm trying to tell you, be smart about Linux. So yeah, that was a hell of a long introduction and a lot of like talking points. My throat is already getting sore, but I hope you understand what you are getting into and what you are willing to risk for the Arch Linux experience. Now, at the second part of the video, what we will be doing is I'll show you the installation process, the both ways. I'll show you two different ways. One is the simple people way, where if you just want the working system, that way, and another one for those enthusiasts out there. Of course, I am looking out for you out there. And then after that is done, we'll move on to the post installation. This is not just an install guide. I'll explain every command there is. So if you don't have the patience for it, just put this video on like 2x or even 10x speed, because there is a bit of explanation that goes on into this video, and I want to clear up a lot of misunderstanding that may have happened and address a few comments that I got over the years that I thought people were a bit confused about. So let's get into it and install. Then move on to the first step, making a bootable USB. Well, that was a long lesson on Arch. If you're ready and mentally prepared, grab yourself a coffee, grab yourself a glass of water as well, because you will be needing it. Because after this is done, and if you missed a step and if you didn't think this through, you will be frustrated. You will call for help. You will need God for this one. So let's get into it. The first step to any installation or anything getting started with a new operating system is actually get the operating system. It's really easy for Arch. We just have to open our browser, search for Arch Linux download. Just like everything, search the thing and the download, and you will get the first link that pops up. Get in here. Scroll down a bit. If you're a torrent lover, just click on this. If you're not a torrent lover and if you don't know what the heck that is, do not bother. Move on. And then search for the link that is in your country. So let's click on that. We have this menu. Go for the first one. And if you are already on Arch Linux, which is why are you watching this video if you're already on Arch? You are already better than me. Anyway, click on the ISO. It will start downloading. Now we just have to wait for it to download, and then we can move on to the next step, which is how do you make it a bootable media? While this downloads, let me quickly explain to you the three musketeers of the bootable world, in Windows at least. The first one is Rufus. This is probably the most popular option for making anything bootable. But I will not count on it because if you are going to Linux, you need something that will support on Linux. The best option to go for is Ventoy. Why I say this is the best? Because it supports both Windows and Linux ISOs on the same pen drive or the same USB drive, however you like to say it, without any compromises. I'm just saying it has a bit of compromises, but this is Ventoy. You just have to click on download after searching for, again, Ventoy download. Easy thing. Then after you have clicked on downloads, just click on this and it should start downloading. We will be using this one, but there is another option which is called Banana Etcher. If you are a lover of minimalistic and you want to get things done, this is your option. It's really simple to use. It supports Windows, Mac and Linux, so you don't have to worry about compatibility, and it's as easy as just downloading it, opening it, selecting your pen drive and just selecting the ISO and it will do all the work for you. Simple, easy and quick. But we want to go to Ventoy. We want to use Ventoy. How do you do this? Go to the website, click on download. This is the menu you'll see. Click on Windows Zip because this is the one we want. And let's test our Wi-Fi and just click on latest download and hope for the best. And it has started downloading, so we'll just wait for it to download and then we can move on to actually making things bootable. So we have Ventoy now. Let's unzip it again while this downloads, because yeah, we can do multitasking. You are not stupid, hopefully. Go to your downloads folder, whichever folder you have downloaded this on. If you're not on a downloads folder, you are not using your computer correctly. Anyway, click on this. I am using 7-zip. You can use WinRAR or whatever you like to use, but 7-zip is the code. Anyway, we'll just click on extract to Windows. I'll just extract it here. Why not? There's no point in without any anarchy. We'll go to Ventoy, and this is basically the one we want. Ventoy to this. Just double click on it. It will open. Yes. Now you may be wondering, what the heck am I doing without the ISO? This actually does not need the ISO at first. This will set up our pen drive so it can accept ISOs. So that is all great. So that is great. Now what do? Again, select your pen drive. Do not select your hard drive. If you have a portable hard drive, make sure to check that. Select your pen drive or USB drive. I like to call it whatever. Anyway, select this. Hit install. This will be formatted. So do not keep your personal homework folder on your pen drive. Make sure to format it or move it to a safe place on your hard drive. Do not put it in a C drive on your hard drive. Keep it safe. We'll just format it. We don't have anything important in here. Format it. Windows, obviously, sure, it just does double check. You know it's a great software when it double checks if you're dumb enough. There you go. Ventoy has been successfully installed on the drive. Now you may be wondering, how the heck do I use this if it didn't prompt for any ISO? Well, it's as easy as just going to this PC. Oh my god, there's too much file on here, and you can see it says Ventoy right here. I don't know why does it have the Google Drive logo, but it is Ventoy. So what we have to do here is literally just copy and paste the ISO onto this file right here. Let us see. Is it downloaded? No. How far off is it? Oh my god, I closed it. Give me a moment. This is the bad part about Arc. If you wanted to make a dedicated video on this Arc Imagic browser I am using for a few days, let me know in the comments below. But it didn't prompt me that I was downloading and I had this. Oh my god. Anyway, I do have this downloaded, so you know how to download it. Make sure to download it. This is my hard drive. I have my archive of ISOs. Okay, it's a bit older, but whatever. Just copy this ISO, move it onto the Ventoy folder. Make sure to move it in this folder. Do not move it anywhere else. Move it in here, hit click and paste. And you're done. You're literally done. That's it. Yeah, you just have to let it copy and you can access this ISO whenever we are putting into this pen drive. And I'll show you that in a bit. So I'll just wait for it to copy. I don't know why it's dying, but for some reason it's dying. Okay, it's picking up the pace. Yay, let's go. You can do it. No. Don't go down. Don't go down. Go up. Yes. Nice. Anyhow, I'll see you after this is done. Okay, now it's copied. Now what do you do? Let me get a blank canvas here. Here are every single boot device or boot key for every single motherboard and laptop out there. Make sure to reboot your system. Destroy that button before it boots up, and when you see the boot menu, make sure to select the pen drive. Yes, select the pen drive. If it doesn't show up, that means your pen drive is either not bootable or you have something called legacy bootable and not legacy bootable. So, and if you do that, take two. Okay, now we have our bootable USB. Before we jump into booting it onto our system, the first thing you have to remember is Arch Linux does not ship with secure boot by default. It doesn't support it by default. I won't say it doesn't support it entirely. It does support it. You need to configure it, but by default, it doesn't support secure boot. So what do? Go to your BIOS and disable secure boot. It usually is in the boot section and it's pretty openly labeled saying secure boot. And yes, you can disable it. It doesn't really impact your system that much. But if someone is accessing your computer from your system itself and touching it, yeah, you have more thing to be concerned about than your system having secure boot or not. Anyway, so make sure to turn that off. And then here is the list of every single boot key that I could find for different types of motherboard and different types of laptop. Make sure to screenshot this, and I'll also put this in the description somewhere, maybe if I remember. But after that is done, reboot your system and destroy that key, that boot key. Just destroy it, just like the like button right now. Do that as well, and make sure to subscribe, because I don't know, you just watch your video and you guys just disappear somewhere. Yeah, I do understand the way I do it sometimes. Anyway. Well, now that we are caught up, did you find a USB? If you did find it, go to that USB, and now we can move on to phase 3 of the bootable step, putting into the OS. You know the funny part? I forgot to press record. Oh my god. I don't know what point, but just to prove a point, I got both of them. Yeah, I got the Windows, I got the Linux ISO. Just to show you guys that yes, it does support both of them. And let's get into it. Did you mash your buttons? Are you in the boot menu? If you are, then this is the menu you should see. Full disclosure, I'm using a VM. This VM does not have any type of ISO in it. So as you can see, it doesn't have any ISO. It will be booting from the, here you go, USB itself. So USB port 0 for the VM at least. Now I have not connected it in the Type-C port, so it will be terribly slow, but for you it should be fast enough. And also again, full disclosure, after doing this, I will just add the ISO afterwards. So after it's booted into the USB, I'll just add the ISO. So just to show you the process of what comes next. So that's basically all I wanted to explain it. So in case any of you are confused or thinking how the heck am I recording this is basically how. And yes, it will boot from the pen drive. If you don't believe me, let me just show you right now. I just powered this one on, wait for it, and this should boot from the USB itself. As you can see, it says secure boot is disabled. Make sure to disable it. Do not try to boot without disabling secure boot. And now this is the menu you should see. It has both Arch Linux ISO and the Windows ISO. So we will go to the Arch Linux because we are installing it. I want to go with the normal mode. No need to go with the grub 2 mode. Normal mode should be fine. And here's something. If you see this menu right here when you're booting up, that means you have a UEFI system. It says so in the first menu. And if you don't see this type of menu, if you see something else, then it's really likely that you don't have a UEFI system. You have a BIOS system. But anything, if you're not using something from a Stone Age like a Celeron or something, and you should be pretty okay with UEFI because most modern motherboards do have UEFI built into them. So let's just get in. And maybe some of you were born at a time when you didn't even know that they have different variants of motherboards. Anyway, we'll just wait for this to boot up. And again, like I said, I'm using a VM, so it's literally passing it through, so it will be much slower than your system. I'll cut this part and we can move on after it boots up. And after the system boots up, this is the screen you should be greeted with. If you are not familiar with this, yep, this is our Linux and this is all you get. And from this point on, there are 2 ways we can go. So let's visit those ways and see which one is best for you. So at this point, there is 2 ways we can go. First, the easy way. So if you just want a working system and if you are really new to Arch Linux, you just want the system to work, then the first method is great for you because it uses a install script that will automatically install, configure, and do everything for you, so you don't have to manually configure everything. But another way is if you want to learn about Linux or Arch Linux in general, you want to know how it is installed, how to configure your own partitions, how to get your packages up and running, how does dependencies work. So basically, if you want to do it manually, then I will also show that method as well. But for those people who are in a hurry, here are some common ground things. So some common things that you should always check before jumping headfirst into your Arch install. So the first thing is increase the font size. Yeah, I like to do this because the default font size is pretty small. So to do this, we can do set font, and then I like to use star 124B. This makes it a bit larger, and there is other fonts like 124N makes it narrower, but bold always makes it looks good. There is also I think 132, yeah, which makes it even larger, but for me 124 is pretty nice. And we can also set this as default later, but we won't be going through that route. But at this point, we want to first ping to see if our network is running. If you're on an Ethernet, by default it should be connected. But by default it should be connected. So let's do ping archlinux.org. So if I do this, as you can see, it is spitting out a bunch of responses. That means that our internet is connected. So pellet. Now to check what network, which devices you have, you can do IP link to show you every network device that is connected. If you see up in this ENP, that means that your Ethernet is connected. But if it says WLAN 0 or WLAN something, that means that is a Wi-Fi connection and you need to configure it. Configure it, you can actually use a tool called IWCTL. If you get in here and search, just type in device list, it will show your adapters, and everything. So again, by default, it is WLAN 0. And we can actually just scan it with, I think, station scan WLAN 0. So if you are on Wi-Fi, then what we can do is, so there is a tool called IWCTL, okay, CTL, which is basically network configuration. Well, it's not enabled, so we have to enable everything. Now, after this part, what we can do is list our devices. We can see if devices are here. So if I do device list, as you can see, nothing is showing up here because I don't have a Wi-Fi device connected to this machine. So that means there is no Wi-Fi devices, but it should show up as WLAN 0. Now, what we can do is do station list. So again, there is no devices here, so it won't like show anything. But if it does, again, type in that and do WLAN 0 get networks. So this is the command you need. Again, this is device not found, but obviously if you have a Wi-Fi, this will work. And then all we have to do is just type in the same command, but do connect, and in the station list, so it will show up which Wi-Fi's are available. Then just type in connect, and then in here just your Wi-Fi name, so SSID name, and it will ask for the password. So there you go. So here you just type it in. You can do SSID dash name. Now this is not the exact thing you need to type. You need to type your actual. So let's say, for example, your Wi-Fi name is Bob. You'll type that in here. It will ask for your password. You type the password in. After you have done that, just type in exit. Oh my god, exit, and it will get out of it. So now to check again, just to check if everything is working, make sure to ping your network just to make sure if everything is working. Now that's great. Now our Wi-Fi is working. At this point, all we have to do is just type in arch install. So if we're going this route, it's really easy to do, really easy to set up. But we're going with this one. Why is it taking so long? It's weird. So after you have done arch install, this should be a menu that you're greeted with. Now it's pretty straightforward to set up. So if you just go to locals, this is where you set up your keyboard layouts. If it's in US, it's just normally just keep it as is, local language and everything. It just shows on the right side that which is configured as well. But if you want to change it, as you can see, just go into keyboard layout and pick whichever one you want. You can just type in slash and then search for something. It will show all the search results that is related to US and whatever you search. So that's about it. Let me go, and yeah, there you go. English, we want that. So let me go back so that it's configured. Now mirrors and repository, this is really important. So let's go to select regions, and then in here we'll just select whichever region we are from. So whichever country you're from, make sure to select that specific country. So as you can see, there is a lot of mirror list here. So there you go. I have my country and I'll just select that, hit enter, and that's about it. You can select nearby countries if you want, just to be safe, but I just select my one and sometimes a nearby one. Anyway, then we have this configuration. For this install, I highly recommend that you do a clean install, because with this dual booting is really not recommended because it really messes it up. So go to this configuration, partitioning, and I would say just use the first one that is available, which is use the best effort for default partitioning layout. It's usually good enough. Not good enough, it's really great. And okay, I don't have a hard drive. I need to connect a hard drive, so give me a moment. Go back, add it. Now it should have the drive. Let's see. Give me a moment. Let's run it back. Now in here, we'll select our region. By the way, you can press space to select. We'll go back. This configuration, partitioning, base server. There you go. Now we have a hard drive right here. And yeah, make sure to select that hard drive you want to format. It will reformat everything. Make sure to select the correct one. Then we want to go to ext4 because, well, it's commonly used and it is really well made. Btrfs is not that stable yet, so we'll go with ext4. It's great. Now we won't be covering LVM for this one because again, we're keeping things simple. Then as for disk encryption, if you want to encrypt your disk, that's totally up to you. But for me personally, I do not like to encrypt disk because it can be a hassle to decrypt and to data and stuff. Anyway, we have swap, so it's enabled, so it will use a part of the RAM or part of the storage as memory when your memory is full or getting full. Then we have bootloader. Now here is the important part. As you can see, there are 3 bootloaders. The most common ones you will find is probably systemd boot and grub. If you are on a really modern system, I would recommend systemd boot, and if you are not going to tinker with the boot menu at all, I would recommend this one. But if you are wanting to customize your boot menu, you want to make it your own, I would recommend going with grub because it's much easier to set up, and I personally prefer grub over systemd boot because grub is just easier to set up. Anyway, then we have hostname. So this is what will show up in your router as basically the device name that the router will know. So if you put something like Why isn't it letting me type? I don't know. Maybe something broke, but it don't let me type. Well, if it does let you type, you can type in whatever you want. Then we have to set up the root password. So make sure to type that in, hit enter, confirm the password. I did. Then I would recommend get a user. No, it's not a recommendation. It's an order. Get an user. So we'll make the username, give it a password, and yes. Make sure to select yes on this, or else your user will not be working. So then we'll just confirm and exit. And here's the important part: profile. Now, if you go in this section, there will be 4 menus. One is desktop, minimal, server, and XOR. A quick thing is desktop will give you a full desktop environment or window manager depending on what we select. A minimal install is just bare bones arc. There's nothing on it. So if you want to build your system from ground up, basically if you want to go with the kind of like the aftermath of a manual install, go with minimal. Then we can configure it from there. We have server, which is if you're deploying this on a server. That XOR gives us bare bones GUI without much to go off of. So I will go recommend if it's your first time using Arc, just go with the desktop. And then these are all the desktop environments that is supported. If you are like confused on what to select, and if you are again really new to this, I would recommend go with KDE Plasma because it's probably the easiest to use and has the most customizability. So you can play around with it a lot. So you can press space, and again you can install multiple of them if you want. But again, I don't recommend you do that. You can check out this video right here where I did that, and yeah, the aftermath was not that pretty. Anyway, we'll go with KDE Plasma, hit enter, and then here we can select the graphics driver. I would recommend you keep all open source, but if you have an NVIDIA GPU, go in here and then select this option right here, which is open source. Or if you want to use your GPU, by that I mean if you want to heavy load it, I would recommend just go with the proprietary one. And yeah, there is a VMware version, so I would go with this one since I am doing this on a virtual machine. So hit enter, and again make sure to select the correct graphics driver. Then we have Greeter. Greeter is basically the login manager. LightDM, like both of these are really lightweight, and it's great if you are going for a really lightweight system. But if you are going KDE, I would recommend to stick with SDDM. And if you're going with GNOME and a heavy theme based system, I'll just go with GDM. Anyway, SDDM is a pretty good middle ground, so I would recommend just stay with that. Then we have our profile setup. Now as for audio, I'll just recommend go with Pipewire. Pulse Audio is not great, but Pipewire it just works nowadays. Then we have kernels. As for kernels, I would recommend you just get a Linux LTS. It's just good to have. Like it's not necessary. Like it's not like someone will kill you if you don't have it. It's a good thing to have. Network configuration. If you have already set your network up, I would recommend just go with the first option, which is copy ISO networks to installation. So you don't have to manually configure it. But if we are going with it, since we are going with the desktop environment, I like to select this one, which is use network manager. So it installs a network manager and it configures it that way. So as you can see, it says necessary to configure internal graphics in GNOME and KDE Plasma. So I'll go with that one. Then we have additional packages. Now in this section, I would recommend you first up get a browser. Yes, Linux does not come with a browser. And as for browser, if you see this menu right here, just type in / I'll go with Firefox. I guess that is the lightest one. And if you're searching for Chrome, Chrome is not directly available in Linux. So I'll get the Firefox. I like to have the dark reader, and you know what? Why not? Let's get the ad blocker as well. And there is a lot more in here, but for now we'll stick with Firefox because we can install applications after the system is installed. I'm recommending Firefox because you'll have something to Google if you in case you miss something or messed something up. And then we have time zone. Again, just search for / first your continent, so whichever continent you're from, then the country you're from, then the region you're from, and then that's about it. I would say that's the whole configuration done. You can save the configuration, or we can just move on to install. For now, I'll just move on to install. So hit install, and since there is no errors and nothing is complaining, it should give you this type of menu right here. Don't be scared, and I would like to continue. So there we go. So I'll just wait for it to be done, and I'll get back to when it's done installing, and it should be done in your system right now. Let's move on to the next method of installation, and we'll go on with the post install after that fact. Hello, and if you have actually just skipped the first one and you are on this part of the video, then I'm assuming you want to actually know how Arch Linux is installed manually. And we have established that the method to installing it from EFI system or a UEFI system to a legacy boot system is a bit different, but I will actually prompt you or tell you that this part needs to be changed, but by default, this will be an EFI install. With the Arch install, you didn't have to worry about that too much because it automatically fixes all of that for you, but never mind. First, let's check if our system is actually even EFI to begin with. So we can do ls sys/firmware and then EFI var. So if you have this directory, that basically means that yeah, you are a UEFI user. But any modern system is usually UEFI system. But if I press enter, as you can see, there is a bunch of things here. We don't care about all of that. We have a UEFI system. Now, we can at this point actually change what keys we are using. So if we do load keys, by default it is in the US keyboard layout. So if you are using a US keyboard, then you don't have to change anything. But in case you don't, okay, so to find the keybinds, you can do local ctl, we can do list dash key maps, and this should actually, there you go. This gives us a list of everything there is. As you can see, here is DE Latin, and then we have like every other, like there is France, there is like Mac keyboard. So everything you could need is in this list. So make sure to find whichever you want in case you are not using a US keyboard. So now let's say we have, oh here you go, we have US right here and we want to use that. So we can do, let me just close out of it. We can do Ctrl C to close out of it. And then if I do load keys, we're using US. So just doing US will actually load the US keyboard layout and it's the default one. So make sure to keep that in mind. Then we just have to go to the partition. And this is pretty simple. If you are using CF disk, I would recommend to do that. But first we have to see what is the actual disk that we have. We can do fdisk-l. It makes things a bit like nicer because here you can see, if you can follow my mouse, you can see it has disk, it has the drive name. So what is, if it's SDA or if you have an NVMe drive, it will be a bit different because, well, it will say NVMe 0 NP something, but it will say NVMe in here. So make sure to keep that in mind. So basically what's the name of the drive. So after we have that, we can do cfdisk and then /dev/ the SDA, since that is the device we want to partition. Now if I hit enter, it will say if you have a clear partition, you got a new SSD, if you got a new drive, this is the menu you should see, which is basically what label type do you want. Again, if it's a UEFI system, we obviously want GPT, but if you're doing this on a really old system, you want to go with DOS. So just keep in mind what you are actually using. So we want GPT, obviously. Hit enter and then you should get a screen like this. In here, we just have to make 3 partitions. We are not doing a separate home partition because for any beginners or if you are relatively new to this Arch Linux thingy-majig, you don't want a separate home partition because that makes the setup a bit more complicated. But for now, we just want to create a new drive. Now, first up is the UEFI partition. If you do not have a UEFI system, you necessarily don't need this partition. But since I do have it, I'll just give it 1 gig. Now, usually I like to keep it 300 megabytes. Like that's fine. Even 100 megabytes is fine. But if you want to do a bit of customization to the grab loader, I think 300 megabytes should be good enough. Since I'm not putting anything on here, so 300 megabytes partition size. There you go. It says Linux file system. I want to change the type to EFI system. Here you go. And then I'll reformat it again just to be safe. But for now, yeah, there you go. Now I want a swap memory. If you don't know what a swap memory is, a swap memory is basically when your RAM is offloading something. So if you are not using application actively, it will just offload it onto your drive, so it can save up on memory space. So it's really good to have. If you have a lot of storage, then I would say just double your RAM. But if you don't have much of a storage, just go with half of your RAM. So you can calculate it that way. Now we have partition scheme. So I'll give it 4 gigabytes of swap. Again, we can do type and then we can do the next swap. There we go. Then we have the rest of the drive. I'll just put it all in one Linux file system. And that's about it. That's the partition style that we need for a UEFI system. Just again, if you don't have a like UEFI system, you don't need the EFI system partition. We can move on from there. There we go. Yes, we want to write this to our drive. So let's give it a moment. Hello. Shouldn't take that long. Just to verify, we can do fdisk-l. As you can see, we have 3 partitions right here. Now, I just want for a sanity check, I want to repartition them. So in case you didn't use cfdisk, if you are following from the Arch wiki, if you use just fdisk, then this is a pretty crucial step. But even if you did use CFDs, like you are following this tutorial or this guide, then I would say still do this just for sanity's sake. So you can do mkfs.fat, we can do -f32, and then we want the first partition. Remember, that is our EFI partition. We want dev-sda1 because that is our EFI partition. Now, in case you do not remember which one it is, you can also do lsblk. It will just simply show what partitions you have, so you don't have to like do fdisk all the time. But with this, let us mkfs. dash F32 and then slash dev slash SDA1. So this will be our EFI partition which needs to be FAT32. So hit enter and see it doesn't throw any errors, mostly because it's fine with it. Now for our root partition which is SDA3, we don't want FAT, we want ext4. So this is the partition style we want, and then if we hit enter it should make the partition. Just give it a moment and there we go, it just made a partition. Now what do we want? We want the swap, so we can do mk swap and then dev slash SDA2. There we go, it's a swap. So we have all of this ready. Now we just have to mount it so we can get on with our Arc installation. So we can do mount. First up is the UEFI. Why can't I say it? First up is the UEFI system, and for that we have to do dash make dir because we're mounting it to a place which does not exist yet. So this will just create the directory. So we can do mount slash dev slash SDA1 and then we can do slash mnt slash boot slash EFI. Since this is a UEFI system, so we need this. But usually if you're just doing a normal system, you just go with boot, it will work. But for UEFI you need this. So there we go, it is mounted. Now for the rest of this you don't need the mkdir, so you can do mount slash dev slash SDA3 since this is the root partition we wanted in the mount. And then we also want swap, so we have to turn the swap on, so we can do swap on slash dev slash SDA2. So there we go. Now just to make sure that everything is mounted and working properly, we can do gen fstep dash u slash mnt. So if we do this, oh my god, I mistyped it, my bad, fstep b, it will just show you that which is mounted, and as you can see the first one is not mounted, so we have to do it again. I don't know why this happens, but maybe for some reason it just doesn't want to work, so I'll just do that again. And then now if I do this, okay, there we go. So obviously do make sure to check everything before you get to this part. So now that everything is mounted and working, we can actually now just install the system, and we have a bit more to do after we install the system. And to install it, it's pretty simple. We can do packstrap dash k and then slash mnt. So this is basically using packstrap in the mnt directory where our root is mounted of our new system, and then we want to install base Linux and Linux firmware. Now usually this is all that you would be needing. So this is usually what is needed to absolutely just install a system. But for me, I like to get base as devil because we want to install yay and stuff. So that's great. Then I want to have Linux dash LTS. It's a good thing to have. Like it's not an absolute necessary. It's a good thing to have. Then we have like it. I need it. I want nano and then a network manager. This is an absolute lifesaver if you like need to do network after your system install, and make sure to have this installed because this gets hectic if you don't have it. I do have a video on it, the post install guide. You can see me struggling with the network on that video, so make sure to check that out after this if you have the time. So now we have network manager, we have Linux firmware and everything. We're ready to install, so let's just hope for the best. And let's see how long this takes. Now obviously this will depend on your internet speed, so how fast your internet is. This will basically take it depending on that time. And you can actually install Arc, if you didn't know, install Arc locally without having internet, but it may not always work. So have an internet connection. This will just grab everything that is latest for your system, and that's a really great deal if you just want an up-to-date system. And here's a few notes while your installation is progressing, is that if you made it this far into the video, obviously subscribe to the channel and leave a like if you are thinking this guide will help you. And I'm also making a hyperland config, so if you're interested in helping me with that, you can join the Discord server and just shoot a message. And I don't know how to do Discord and stuff things. It's probably not that great of a server, but hey, we're here to learn stuff, so I'll probably get better things, better ways to do that. So make sure to join all of that. And I'll see you after this is done installing. We have a bit more work to do, but essentially the base root system is getting installed here. We just need two more things. One is the grub loader or the bootloader that we want to boot off of, and the basic system install. So things that we need after the system boots up, we just have to configure all of those things. And there we have it. The system is now installed. And to be honest, there's not much to do right now, but there are a few packages that you could get, but we'll get them after actually getting into our system. So believe it or not, we can actually get into our system right now. We can do root or chroot, however I like to say it, /mnt, and then you see this root. This is our actual system that we just installed. Pretty great, I know. So now we can actually fix our clock. So we can do ln -ssf and then /user/share/ zone info. I think we kind of missed a step. I'll get back to that, but first I'll just do this, then we can get back to it. I forgot to do the F step, but it doesn't hurt that much if you do it a bit later, so don't get too worried about it. and so we can do zone info and then slash Asia slash our region. So this is basically where your region is. And again, if you are confused about your region, you can just at this point just hit tab 2 times and it will give you all of the list, so everything that is available. So in case you don't know like what is here, but you don't know what is actually shown here, so we can do that to slash etc slash local time, nope, local time, and there we go. And we can do hw clock dash dash sys c. This should be it. There you go. Now with that, we just see something. If I do gen -u. Okay, yeah. We need to get out for a bit. So just to get out of here, we can do exit. This will take us to our ISO route, and we need to do this one right here, mnt, and see if everything is okay. And in here, since our system is now installed, we can actually just do this and then do slash mnt slash etc slash fstab. So this file right here, hit enter, and that's about it for the basic configuration. Now we go back to our system. Sorry about the detour, but there we go. That's about now we want our local gen. So this will be your language. So we can do local. So first up, now we need to configure it. Two things. So remember we installed nano. This is the whole reason why. Slash etc slash local dot gen. In this file, you'll see a bunch of things right here, and we need to find. So with nano, you can do Control F to find stuff. Yeah, just want to find n_us. And see this line right here? This is the line we need to uncomment. So the UTF-8, we just need to uncomment it, hit S, and then if you want another language, so if you want your system to have another language, make sure to find it in this file and just uncomment it. Or you can have multiple locals, so in case you want multiple languages available for your system. So just keep that in mind, and then we can do Control X, and we can do this right now. We can do local dash gen. There we go. And you can see it generated the local, and we have a bit more to do. Remember this, we just have to do config. We need this file right here because this will actually determine the language of our whole system. So we can do lang, so en underscore. So basically the line that we just uncommented, this is what we need to type in. And just save it, hit exit. And now we just need a host name. So if you don't know what a host name is, in very simple term, a host name is basically what the router tells you that what router tells you what your system name is. So we can do nano, or we can just do a shortcut. We can do echo. Just type in our host name. So I'll just go with Archie. All, or I'll just go with all lowercase. I don't think the capitalization matters much, but sure. I just want to do this, and then we can do slash etc slash host name. There we go. And if I hit enter, and we can verify stuff if you like. If we want to, we can do slash etc slash host name just to verify that it's correct. There we go. It is in there, and we can also edit the host file for our local. So we can do nano slash hosts, and in here we can see that there is our local host. In here we can just add our own, but I like to skip this part because it really doesn't matter that much. Now we want to make if you are thinking about LVM RAID or encryption drive, you need to type in mk init cpio. You need to do this -p if you have LVM and RAID encryption hooks, but since I don't have anything, we'll just skip this part. Now we just have to set our root password. We can do pass wd, and then this will be our root password. I'll just type it in. There we go. And I want to make a user as well, so we can do user add slash mg. So it will just add a user and a group. So we want to do it in the wheel group, and the username will be there we go. If I hit enter, it just worked. Now if we have to set a password for our user, we have to do pass wd, and then our username. So now we just have to set a new password. There we go. It is updated successfully. And since this is updated, there is a bit more we need to do to add our to our root as a root, so we can use root commands. To that we can do nano slash etc slash no, not this, sorry, my bad. We have to do editor equals to nano, and then we have to do vi sudo. So hit enter, and you'll see this file right here. In here, if we scroll down a bit, basically just go down a bit, we should find the line. Here we go, which says this part right here. It says uncomment to allow members of the group wheel to execute any command. Since we added our user to the wheel group, it will allow us to run root commands. Now there you go. We have our user set up. We have our basic system setup done. Now what we have to do is install a bootloader, and also I'll add a few packages. So to install the bootloader, we can do pacman, then we can do -s, and then first of all we need grub, and then I like to get EFI boot mgr. This one because this allows us to configure our boot. So in case you have multiple OSs running on the same system. If a boot manager allows you to set kind of like the priority of which one goes first. Now, I also like to get OS rover, but it is said to be like a bit of a security hazard to go through all your partition and find where the other partitions, sorry, or the other boot managers are. So I'll just skip this since they do not recommend it themselves. For now, this is the two packages that we want, and there we go. We should install this right now, and it should get installed. Okay, and also we need to configure our mirror list because this will be a lot slower if it's not configured. Usually there's a tool called Reflector that does the configuration for you, but for my country, I don't know why it doesn't work very well. You know what? Before this does finish installing, let me just fix that first. So we can do nano /etc/pacman-t/mirror list. In here, as you can see, there is every single server except for mine. So I want to add that. I can do server. So also in case you do have this same issue, then there is a here's a good tip. Make sure to have a second a second system at hand. Make sure to have a second system at hand. And in here, I would like to search for arc mirrors and go to this mirror list. Oh my god, what happened to the browser? Refresh please. Thank you very much. Where is this mirror list? Oh, there you go. The mirror list. Oh, there you go. All mirrors. So this is where you have all of your mirrors. You can do Control F to find what you're looking for. Like for example, if you're in Canada, if you do Canada, and it will just find every link that is available to you. I would say just that for you, it shouldn't be much of an issue because Reflector usually does do a good job of it. But for me, it doesn't work. And now I'll just have to type it in. And I have typed it in so many times. I should have it memorized, but we'll see. We have to do mirror.xlinux/repo/arch. Okay, that is the server I want to add, and let's see if this even helps. So clear this. Let's install the same thing again. So if I do enter now, yes, yep. As you can see, it basically does it instantly because it's using it's using the server that I should be downloading from. So now that grub is installed, remember this. The drive name that we have, this SDA thing right here. So this is the part where I want to emphasize this for a BIOS system. So if you are on a so for a legacy system, this is what you need to type: grub install. So this is basically it. This is for a legacy system if you have a legacy system or a BIOS system. But for an UEFI system, the first part is the same. But in the target menu, we have to do x86_64 and then -EFI. This is what we need. And then we have to do --EFI-directory. Directory equal to /boot-EFI. My god, yes, EFI. And then this is the bootloader ID. So this can be like any name that you want, but this is basically what identifies in the EFI menu or your boot menu. So this is the name that will show up in your boot menu. So I'll just type in grub. You know what? I'll just type in arch because this is arch. And to be honest, that should be it for the install. So let's just hit enter and let's see if anything causes any issues. Okay, it is installation. It says no errors were reported. That's great. So now we have to update grub. Now by default, there is no command as grub update. You have to manually update it. So you can do nk-config-o/boot/grub-grub.cfg, and this is the command we need. This is basically doing update, grub update. If we do enter, as you can see, it just configures, and see it says found Linux image. It found everything, and then in here as it says disable OS Prober documentation entry. If you want to use OS Prober, I'll just show you how it's done. So now we can actually change this. So you can do nano/etc/default/grub, and in here you can see we can configure a few things. First of all is the default. So which one is it booting into first? Since we only have arc, we don't want to bother with this. And the timeout, you have 5, and if you put it 1 or 0, the grub loader will literally not show up and just boot into your system immediately. So I'll show you this. I'll keep it at 0 and show you what happens if we do this. So there you go. And in here, if you want to use OS Prober, then you have to uncomment this line right here and have OS Prober installed. So that's up to you what you want to do. Now at this point, we are ready to do a reboot. So let's do a reboot and I'll show you a few things. We can do exit and then reboot now, and let's cross our fingers that everything is working. Now remember, we haven't installed any drivers or anything. This is a really bare bones system. You know what happened? I didn't update the. Oh my god. No. Give me a moment. I would like to redeem myself. Let me just do the grub thingy magic again. So we can do sudo nano slash etc slash. No, I don't need. You know what? Fine. Default slash grub. So yeah, I have set it. I just needed to update the grub config to do that. Grub dash mk config dash o slash boot slash grub dot cfg. Oh my god, I have to be root sudo. Now if we do sudo reboot now, I think this just boots up. Yep. So that's basically it. So if you have it at 0, it will just boot up your system without literally giving you the prompt to load up the grub loader. So if you want it like that, you can do this. It'll save you 5 seconds. So now this is pretty small. What I mistyped my password. At this point, I would say that first up, let's check our network. So we don't want to install anything yet. We just want to check our network, and we didn't actually do a few things. First up is let's see pacman -sy. So if I do this, I need to do sudo now since I am in my user. And see, it will say fail. Remember the network manager that we installed? That will come in clutch now. So you can do sudo pacman, not pacman, sudo systemctl enable now now network manager. So there you go. Hit enter, and your system should kick in immediately. So your network should kick in immediately as soon as this goes online. So now to check if your network is working, you can do ping linux.org. Let's see the network is working. If for some reason, if you have a Wi-Fi, then the easiest way to connect to it is nm, and then you know what, before I show you this, I need to just make the font bigger just to show you guys. So I have to install a few things. Sudo pacman -s terminus font. I think there you go. Yep, there you go. We have this set font dash I think 124 I can do this. Yeah, there you go. I have it. Now it's a bit larger, so it's a bit easier to see. Now that it's easier to see, let's just continue. So to connect your Wi-Fi, you can do nmty. So just do this, and if you see, you'll get a menu like this. So this will make our network connection really easy to actually connect to system. And this does work with GUI systems as well. It can integrate really well KDE and stuff. I'll show you that in a bit. So to activate a connection, you can do activate a connection. As you can see, if you have Wi-Fi drivers or if you have Wi-Fi on your system, it will just show up in here. So since again I do have two adapters just to show you, we can actually activate them, and we can hit escape to go back. We can edit a connection, so you can get in one. You can literally just go to IP4 configuration. If you don't want it automatically manual, everything can be configured, and in here you can just press on whichever one we want. So now we have our network set up. We want drivers. So for drivers, I would say if you are going for a GUI system, which I would assume you would do, then the first thing that I want to install is KDE. I want to go with KDE because that is, I would say, the best app for beginners or best desktop environment to start, because it has a lot of customization and pretty relatively lightweight. So we'll install a bunch of packages. We can do sudo pacman -s. -s basically means sync, by the way. So if we do syu, so first we want to upgrade our system. If it has any upgrades, then we want to install packages. First, I would like to install xorg. Just to, if we want to x11 app, then I usually do plasma desktop. So what this will do is it will just give us a clean plasma install. Now keep in mind, again, if you are doing it and absolutely new at this, I would recommend just go with the plasma meta. It will give you a fully configured system, so you don't have to pull your hair out to find stuff. So I'll just go with you know what, I'll just show you the meta. Why not? I'll just show you. And also we want SDDM. So these are the things that we want. And also a few drivers we want is, first of all, we want Mesa, we want XF86 video Intel. So if you're using an Intel CPU, Intel driver, this is needed. Or if you are on AMD, you can do AMD GPU. Based on what you're using, you can type in that. So I'll go with Intel. And am I missing something? Also, if you are on NVIDIA, there is a package for NVIDIA. So again, depending on what you're using, you need to install those packages. But I would say that's about it for this. So first, let's install this. So hit install. It will just see if there's an update. So there's xorg. You just hit enter for everything. And as you can see, plasma meta is pretty heavy, but 2.5 gigabytes is not that much, considering you're getting every single package that is available. And I'll show you in a bit why I prefer the desktop over this. But again, if you just want a working system, this is probably the best way to go. So let's just wait for it to be done, and I'll see you after this is done, and we can move on to the post installation and what you should do and not do. And that's about the installation process. Now we have to enable the desktop environment. So we install SDDM. We can do sudo systemctl SSL, enable now, dash dash now, SDM. There you go. We just press this, we ask for a password, and then there you go. Now we can log in and watch SKD boots up. So we install the meta package. So basically, whoa, that is right. We can go through this, but for me, again, I literally do this a lot of times. But as you can see, it has a lot of pre-installed things. First, this recognition. First, let me fix my display. So there you go, 1920 by 1080. Big. Nice. There you go. And another thing, I need to make it dark mode because it's really late and I don't have any lights on in my room, so it's burning my eyes. There you go. Apply. And also you can get new themes and stuff. This is a feature that is added by Kventum, so you can get like themes and stuff. So and they are really good themes, to be honest. And there's a lot of customization options. If you look into like KDE customization, it's like amazing. If you go to edit mode, you can literally add widgets and stuff, like just drag and drop. You can literally drag and drop a widget and it will just work. Let's say digital clock. I want it, put it here. There you go. You can resize it and literally like configure it. Like a lot can be done here. So there you go. And then I'll just remove this. So there's a lot that can be done. And also they can be placed on applets. Like a lot. Like KDE has a lot of customization. Even the HDDM screen, like the login screen, can be customized. So if I hit this and hit apply, the next time we log in, it will be that. So there you go. That's basically the system installed. Now in here, I would say a few things that I personally like to do if I just open up console. So remember, the terminal in here is called console. There's no way I didn't install console. It doesn't install console, but no worries, it has you guys. So this one, so we can do sudo pacman-s console. Maybe it will work, please. I don't know if it did. Did something happen? Now, the good thing about Meta is that we have Discover. Oh my god. There's no way they do not include like console with a meta package. That's just weird. Let me just see terminal. Okay, if I get access terminal, okay, I can because there is nothing installed. So, what do we do with this one? There is other thing that we can do. That is get out of this. To do that, we can do Control Shift. I think F2. Yeah, and we can get out of it. Hopefully, there you go. Wait, I almost did it. I want to log out first. Let me just log out. Okay, now I'm here and now I want to go back. I can Control Shift F3. Yeah, there you go. So in case you get stuck and you forgot to install something, this is a way we can install it. We can do sudo pacman-s console. My bad. I actually forgot to install it. I'll probably mention it in the video when I'm editing this. So there you go. That's done. Now we can do Control Alt F2 again to get back here. We can do there you go. And now this should have console. So if I search for console, there you go. Phew. We saved it. In here, I do like to install EA. You can check out this video right here because EA is really useful. And if you want to use this Discover Software Center, you need something called Flatpak. So we'll just install both of them. First of all, for Flatpak, it's still simple. You can do sudo pacman-s Flatpak, and that's about it. I don't know why. There you go. Flatpak. There you go. It will be now installed. And after this is installed, we can install EA. So let me just wait for it to be done. You know what? We can probably get EA while this is done. And remember, we got Git. This is why we got Git. And page stable, you need both of them to actually install EA. So we can do git clone. Let's see if I remember this link. https aor.linux.org/EA. Okay, yeah, there it is available. And then cd EA mkpkg -pkg-si. There you go. So password, yep, install it. Let's go first. So this is installed. Now that is installed, we can actually open up Discover and this will look into every application. Now, do check out this video, the recent video I did, to get an idea of how many ways you can install Arch packages and which is better for your system. And just a quick note, the default repository is way better than anything else, but there are ways to install, a few ways to install the packages. And I would say that's about wraps it up for Arch Linux and how to get started. Now here's a few keynotes. Again, this is a rolling distribution, so you need to keep it updated or at least try to be frequent about it, but not too frequent that you get cut from the bleeding edge. So I would say that about sums it up. And yeah, there we go. We have this as well. Let's install something. Let's go with Telegram. Install from Flatpak, and it should show up right here. And you will notice that it's pretty slow, like relatively slow compared to like literally just doing sudo pacman-s telegram-desktop. And if I just do this, you'll see before that can even start, this will be done installing. So I would recommend you sticking with this. But yeah, the option is there. This is great for add-ons and stuff. So what I mean by that is there you go, Plasma add-ons. So this is great to find stuff in here. So yeah, You have graphics and Office and stuff. So if you are confused about, there you go. Telegram is installed. So if I search for Telegram, you can see there you go. Telegram is installed. And I don't think this couldn't even start installing. You cancel it. I think there is a what do you say it? I would say there is a boot up period, so it needs to be configured and a lot of things. But again, in case you don't want to go through this hassle, the option is available. But I would say use the terminal. It's better that way. Also, if you didn't notice, we don't have a browser. Let's just get a browser. -S Firefox. And oh yeah, this is something that's really important, which is enable your SSD trims. If you're on an SSD, make sure to enable SSD trims. It's really important. Do not forget about SSD trims. And so there we go. We can do clear. We have Firefox now. And to enable your SSD trim, you can do sudo pacman dash. Why do it keep sudo systemctl, and then we have to do fs trim dot time. Yeah, basically just this one we need to enable and just do dash dash now, and it will just enable it. You can actually even check if this is working just by typing in status. So there you go. See, it is active and it is enabled. Also, there is a cool way to check. If I do lsblk-t, I can actually check if it's supposed to trim or not. So that's about it. I would say that sums up Arch Linux pretty well. And if you are new to Arch Linux and if you are willing to accept this and install Arch, I congratulate you. It's a system that allows you to do everything yourself. So handle it carefully. It gives you a lot of power to control. And again, if you made it this far into the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a like if you found this video helpful, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.